Alright, we back outside today. So y'all gonna have to excuse me if I gotta shoo all these flies and shit out the way. But I want to talk about a concept that's generally viewed as being a bit of a negative, or people look at it in a negative light. And that is the concept of nihilism. Now, I would consider myself a bit of a nihilist, nihilist. Yes. Um, and I can see why most people view it as a negative viewpoint, because the concept and premise of it is that nothing really matters, which could lead to you going into depression or not trying to achieve things or doing things that are immoral, because you believe at the end of the day nothing matters. At the end of the day, we all go to dust and there's nothing after, and blah 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 blah. Granted, I don't have a firm stance on how I feel about religion, or if there is a man in the sky or some sort of energy or the concept of a god or whatever the case. But I do believe that incorporating some nihilist views into my life has been very beneficial to me. Now, the way I use it in a way that isn't a negative standpoint, it's a concept that I heard recently, was optimistic nihilism. Whereas nothing matters, but that's okay. Like, it takes away all the pressures of life, and ultimately understanding that you're just one person on this floating rock in the middle of a galaxy, that ultimately it doesn't matter. And the idea that nothing really matters, it just frees up your life. It frees up any expectation you're putting on yourself, or any pressures that you have, or thinking like for me, for example, putting out these YouTube videos, and I got over the idea of like, what if people don't like me? What if people think that I'm just on here spitting bullshit? That's cool. That's okay. If someone sees one of these videos and like, oh, this dude's a dumbass, fair enough. On to the next. Like, and I believe people think about things and they worry about things that ultimately do not matter. That's why I don't give so much power to my emotions or my feelings, or like different situations, because at the end of the day, me worrying about it, or caring very deeply about something that I have no power to change or anything like that, it just doesn't benefit me. And also, it takes away the pressure of assuming that you have some ultimate purpose that you have to achieve. Like, I don't know how I feel about people talking about purpose in a broad sense, in a bigger sense, like how you contribute to society. I do believe in goals. I do believe in striving for things, but necessarily that there's like some big purpose that everyone needs to find or achieve. Like, for some people, I don't think that's the thing. If society is to continue to grow and evolve, we need people that just do the normal shit, that do the regular shit. We need average people. Most people are average by the very sense of the definition of the word, that there has to be an average. And there will always be people well below the average and people well above the average. But you need these things, the yin and yang of like, for society to continue to progress. But to think that every single person has this grandiose purpose that they have to fulfill, it's not even logical. Most people can't fulfill things that are great. It's not meant for everyone. And then we have the question of the people that do fulfill these great things, were they destined? Were they ordained by God to be this amazing entity? Or is it something that they enjoyed or a process that they decided to use ultimate discipline and continue to strive for greatness in this area? Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is how life works. But I do know that if you take away that pressure of thinking that you have to be something great, that you have to adhere to these standards that were forced upon you, you don't. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to die. We're all going to be dust. And that will be it. More than likely, not too many people are going to care about you after you die. I know it's a hard concept to accept, but it is reality. We aren't that important. We aren't that special. That may be one of the things I don't love about religion. It makes everyone think that they're so special, that they're this special little snowflake, which you are unique. You are your own person. Are you necessarily special? I don't know. Unless maybe you make yourself special. But to take away all this pressure to think that you just have to achieve all these amazing things. You have to live this life that is acceptable by the masses. You don't. You do whatever you want. Granted, that does not mean you will not have consequences for your actions. Like, it's not a reason to say, well, just like forget everything, like nothing matters, so I'll just do what I want. But I don't see why people view that in a negative sense, because if nothing matters and you can just do what you want, why don't you just do something that is good, that is good to you? It doesn't mean you have to be a negative force to society. And when I go about saying that, like, these are concepts that are pushed by society and that we need the averages, we need the masses. For example, even though I don't know how I feel about religion, I very well understand that religion is a very good basis for majority of society to follow. And if you get too many people that live life in a nihilistic way, or in a way of thinking that none of their consequences really matter, you get a lot of people just doing whatever they want. That's kind of the direction that America is going in. The thing is, that is not good for building a society. And I guess that's kind of a tangent, because, well, I'm saying it to say that I understand why we need these constructs. But I also understand that most people are sheep. Most people just do what they're told. And I'm speaking to my small audience and encouraging you to stop just accepting all these things because they have been fed to you, spoon-fed, like a baby. You are not a baby. You make your own decisions. You discover your own understanding of life. And this nihilism is just a concept that I encourage you all to at least think about. Like, the reason I'm always so calm and I don't really get upset like that, and it's very hard to get under my skin, because I understand most of these things do not matter. Like, if someone were to cut me off in traffic and I survived, we didn't crash, he didn't like mess up my car in any way, he apologizes, he puts his hand or puts on the hazard, so like, oh, my bad. Like, that's cool. And you just keep going. But to get upset about it, or to think like, oh, like, it doesn't matter. It does not. Like soon you're gonna forget about this whole situation, and it's gonna do nothing for your life. And in an actual sense, I think it gives me more time to worry about things that do actually matter. But I also get to decide what matters. There is no blueprint on what you're supposed to give a fuck about. Let's say that you didn't want to have kids. Most people will look at you and frown at that. That, oh, you don't want to have kids? Like what are you gonna do? Most people just have kids because that's just what everyone else does. Everyone has kids. And sadly, a lot of people use their kids in forms of like putting some meaning to their own life. Because most people before having a baby just don't have any meaning. So now that you have a child, at least you have something to live for, which I think is a sad reality of most children. I don't know if it's most, but I know that is definitely a reason that some people have kids. It gives them a reason to live. It gives them a reason to keep on going, which fair enough. I don't know if that's the best route to take for a reason to have a kid, but it gives you meaning. But you can apply meaning to anything. There is no right or wrong in sense of what you subscribe meaning to. I'll more than likely get into more concepts on nihilism, or just there will probably be a video on like you care too much, you give too many fucks, because in the grand scheme of things, so many things do not matter. They're not going to have any effect on your life after the moment that they happen. I'm gonna end it there. Deuces.